Hi, I'm Ajitesh Sharma, an entrepreneur, filmmaker, and a traveler. I'm a part of Della Leaders Club in the chapter. Welcome to my DLC Talk. Previously, I was a space scientist. I know it's a dream job for many of us, especially the young ones. So, the next question would be why I left that? Well, the answer is it's a story for another day. Why? Because today we are talking about another story, and not just anyone's story, a story of a story. Storytelling is universal to mankind. Every culture has told or experienced storytelling in some way or other. Chauvet Caves in France, a unique example of storytelling, 30,000 years or even more than that. What is a storyteller called in Hindi? Storyteller means kathavachak in Hindi. And if we talk about Hindi, ancient Indian text, what is the greatest Indian story ever told? Everyone knows Mahabharata. Mahabharata is written by Maharishi Ved Vyasa. And what is the meaning of Vyas in Hindi? Kathavachak. So everything relates. Even in other cultures, shamans who were local magicians, priests, some doctor, they were telling stories to educate people, to heal people, to connect with people. So it's not about just epics, be it any forms, fables, poems, lullabies, songs. Stories have existed from time immortal. Why are stories important? Stories connect for different reasons, be it emotional or psychological for an individual. But what is important for us to know is that stories are the most effective way of passing an information in a memorable way. It helps one to recall a memory in a more vivid and clear way. Sounds familiar? Let me summon the MB inside me. Brand recall. Yes, it's brand recall. So what is moral of the story? We were asked this question numerous times by our seniors and elders. But what is moral for one generation may not be necessarily true for other generations. So what should be done? Tell the story, but in a way which your audience wants. So let me tell you a story. Rabbit and a tortoise story. But you already know the story. And perhaps the moral also. Slow and steady wins the race. But it's not the same story. It is a story of another rabbit and tortoise. They are grandson of our old rabbit and tortoise. And by the way, they have become friends now. So one day these two friends, rabbit and tortoise, they are chatting in jungle. And the topic of old race turns up. Now the young rabbit, he challenges tortoise. That the last win was a fluke. If we two run today, then you can't beat me. Now our young tortoise, he accepts the challenge, but with a condition that this time he will be the one who selects a track. Our young rabbits accepts it, and the tortoise selects the track. What he select? A lake. Now the rabbit is in doldrum. He approaches his grandfather. His grandfather, after losing that famous race, has become wise in all these years. He understands that his grandson has created a blunder. He whispers something in his grandson's ear. Next day, the race is on. Tortoise slowly reaches the bank of lake. Rabbit is already waiting for him. Tortoise starts swimming. Rabbit is waiting at the bank. Tortoise swims, 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 but rabbit has not started swimming. Tortoise looks back and sees that rabbit is still on the bank. Tortoise smiles. He knows rabbit is not having any chance of winning this one. And slowly he swims and goes out of sight. And suddenly, when tortoise is out of sight, rabbit starts running. He runs, 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 runs across the jungle and reaches the other bank of the lake. Rabbit then slowly dips himself into the lake and comes out. He is all wet. Now, when the tortoise reaches the other bank, he sees the rabbit. Rabbit is already there, all wet. He has won the race. So, what is the moral of the story? I would say it's complicated. And what MBAs do to the complicated things? Make them more complicated. Well, not exactly. What is the love of all MBAs? 2 by 2 matrix. So let's decode this story in a 2 by 2 matrix. So this is a 2 by 2 matrix for both the stories. The story of our old rabbit and old tortoise, the story of our new rabbit and new tortoise. On one axis of the matrix is skill, and on another axis is situations. So you either have a skill or you don't have a skill. You have situations favoring you, you have situations not favoring you. So we'll have four quadrants. In one, a person can have skill and have situations favoring him or her. This is the first quadrant. This is the quadrant which is true for old rabbit. He had the skills, he had the situations favoring him, but he ruined it. Now come to the second quadrant. Second quadrant is where you have skill, but you don't have situations favoring you. This is where our new rabbit falls in. He has the skill, but the situation is not favoring him. The lake. What he does? He acts smartly. And that is what you have to do. Coming to the third quadrant. This is where our new tortoise fits in. Situations are favoring him, but he is not having the skills. So what he do? He acts smartly again and changes the situation in his favors by selecting a lake. Coming to the fourth quadrant. This is the most important one because in this, situations are not favoring you and you don't have the skill. This is where our old tortoise comes in. He still won the race. And this is the quadrant you should look for. Stories are everywhere and they will continue to exist till we exist. They just need to be told in a way in which your audience wants them. And once you do that, you will realize the true power of a story. More stories when we meet next. For today, signing off, and thank you for listening. Goodbye.